If you guys enjoy what I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free and easy to do. Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. We cover the stories both big and small, the epic and the cute, the silly and the tragic. I hope you all enjoy the ride, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. In Radz-at-Han, a member of the Radiant Host is panicking a little bit because while he was patrolling the city, he saw a voidsent. He caught up to it and was going to deal with it, but it was acting really weird. It didn't try to fight him or run, it just sat there and stared at him, so he decided that it might be better to capture it. Since you know way more about voidsent than he does, he figures you'll be able to figure out why the thing is acting weird. A strange voidsent being loose in the world is one of those problems that are actually worth bringing the Warrior of Light into, so she goes with the guard to see this strange critter. The voidsent is a tiny hecti that starts talking as soon as it sees you. It saw you at Troya Castle on the 13th and it needs your help with something. It would have asked the soldier that found it, but its lack of a mouth makes talking a little difficult. The Warrior of Light having the echo, which gives her the ability to understand most forms of communication, removes that little inconvenience. When you attacked the castle, this particular voidsent died. When he came back to life, he decided he'd had enough of fighting, so he went through your portal and came to the source. Since he'd only just come back to life, he wasn't exactly fully whole, so when he popped out of the portal, he was broken into a few sundered versions of himself, all of which the guards you left around the portal apparently missed. The different versions of the voidsent ran off, and the primary one, the one you're talking to, followed them to Radz-at-Han. Since he's small, it was easy for him to avoid being seen, mostly. Unfortunately, he and all the other voidsent that had been absorbed into him were pretty weak, which is the reason why they had decided to combine their essences in the first place, so tracking them down as he isn't exactly easy. He wants to make a deal with you, one where you go off and find his other pieces, and in exchange he'll tell you all the memories he still has from when he was immortal. He wants that life back, and he promises not to eat anyone even after you've made him whole. Getting knowledge about the rulers of the void in exchange for helping restore a single voidsent is more than a good deal, especially since voidsent hold to their end of bargains a lot better than most mortals do. Even the guard thinks it's a good idea, so you head out to find the voidsent shards while the guard lets his bosses know what's going on so they won't panic and murder the voidsent. The voidsent shards aren't exactly hard to find. There are 4 of them and they're not exactly hiding. They're interested in mortals, so they are watching various people go through their day-to-day routines. One is watching a pair of soldiers talk, which reminds him of how there were a lot of soldiers on his world during the Contra Memoria. He remembers one particular incident during the war where a powerful Eidolon had been summoned to attack a fortress. The fortress had been filled with regular soldiers, but they fought hard, hoping to hold off until the Memoriat could get there and deal with the Eidolon. Unfortunately, their savior didn't get there in time. After he killed the Eidolon, he saw that it had killed everyone in the fortress, all except for the garrison's commander. The Memoriat and his servant weren't exactly happy to see the man alive when they saw that he didn't have a single scratch on him. The commander had hid while he let his men die, when it's the duty of the leader to put the lives of his men before his own. The man's lack of understanding his duty makes the Memoriat stab him until he passes out and buries him along with all of his dead men. They decide to let fate choose whether or not he lives. When people were holding the funeral, the commander finally clawed his way out of the grave. The people thought he was a demon, and based on how disfigured and horrible he looked, the people started calling him Scarmiglione. This particular piece of the voidsent was obviously the Memoriat's servant before his transformation, and he had thought they had buried Scarmiglione so deep that he wouldn't have been able to survive, but apparently his will to live was stronger than they thought. With his story concluded, he goes off to join his other pieces, while you track down another one. This shard is watching people eat, so he tells you about how voidsent get stronger. It all depends on the quality and quantity of the ether that they consume. When the world was consumed by darkness, the Memorias became very powerful voidsent, but the majority of people just became regular creatures. There were some exceptions, and there's one that this shard remembers well, Scarmiglione. The creature was powerful, but he was also a coward. Even when he was on the brink of starving to death, he would only go after creatures far weaker than he was. Anything he thought might put up a fight caused him to run away, but one day he got cornered. Golbez saw him running like a coward and he was curious, so he asked him why. When Scarmiglione claimed it was only because he was weak, Golbez decided to give him a bit of ether. Feeling confident with his gifted power, Scarmiglione kills the creature that was hunting him, only for Golbez to say that he had hardly given the Voidsent any power at all. He already had more power than he thought. Because he was such a coward, he hadn't realized just how strong he was, an issue that Golbez would solve if the Voidsent joined him. Scarmiglione agrees, probably because he thought Golbez might eat him if he didn't. The little Voidsent thinks that Scarmiglione is still out there somewhere, and likely a lot stronger now. He doesn't realize that the Archfiend is sitting snugly in your pocket, but he's done his part, so he heads back to the others while you go looking for the remaining 2 Voidsent. The third shard had planned on finding the others, but he had gotten sidetracked watching a couple argue. Mostly the man is irritated that his girlfriend asks her father's permission before she does anything, which is the right way to be. Only a fool doesn't get advice from people who they know have their best interests at heart. I'm 35 and I still talk to my parents about stuff. Their interaction reminds him of a girl who was not born into a particularly loving family. Her parents were criminals who ended up being labeled as nobles. The girl was raised to be royalty with servants and riches, but she had no freedom. Her parents controlled everything from what she did to what she said. Wanting to experience at least a little bit of freedom, she got her handmaiden to help her sneak out of the house. Her dad caught her and locked her door and barred her window so she couldn't sneak off again. With help, she snuck out one more time, hoping to meet with friends, but her dad found out and killed her friends so they wouldn't cause any more problems. He plans on using his daughter to gain influence, and he won't have her ruin that. But she has other plans, and she takes an axe and goes full Michael Myers on her dad. With nothing stopping her, she left and discovered that her true calling was battle. She was a beautiful savage, and she decided to take a new name, Barbarisha. The last shard is on the airship landing, wishing that he could fly, but it's not in most Voidsent's nature to do a lot of traveling. The strongest of them make domains that they stay in, while the weaker ones try to stay on their good side. The masters of the domains rarely leave since they're at their strongest on their home turf, but Barbarisha, like when she was a mortal, hated being confined to one place. When she first made her domain, she sat around waiting for her minions to bring her food, all for the purpose of keeping her hair beautiful, but the resources of her domain were limited, and eventually she consumed her own servants, turning the place into a lonely prison. She didn't know what to do since she didn't have the strength to leave her domain, but Golbez showed up and gave her ether. With her newfound power, she took control of the wind and used it to move her domain, something that impressed even Golbez, which caused him to give her more power and bring her into his service. The little Voidsent would have had more to tell you about her if he hadn't accidentally fallen out of Barbarisha's domain. With the 4 shards found, the Voidsent goes to combine and go back to his original form, but it turns out that there are still more pieces missing. Unfortunately, he can't even sense them, which means there's more searching to be done later, and more for you to learn about the Archfiends. For now, this is the end of the story. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and if you really want to show your support, you can donate to the channel through the link in the description. Until next time, guys. Later.